joining us for another 5 Minute Murder. When you guys are viewing this, I will be ankle deep in Gen Con madness. I'll be up in Indianapolis for the largest gaming convention in the United States. Before COVID, they had regularly about 80,000 people. Since then, it's between 50 and 60,000. This year, Disney and Ravensburg, which is a big gaming company, is releasing Lorcana, which is the new big Disney trading card game. So it is going to be super popular. People are going to be lined up around the block trying to get in there and be the first people to get their cards and be able to play the game. So it is going to be the talk of the town this Gen Con. And hopefully Killers will make a big impact there. We are releasing our Mass Murderers expansion, which is currently live on Kickstarter. So go there and support it and back it. And remember that you don't have to pay anything until the campaign is up. So you have plenty of ability to stockpile that money so that you can pay for it at the end. So you don't have to pay it up front, and it makes it really nice. So you don't have to worry about that. But check it out. It's on Kickstarter right now. I will post a link with this video so that you can go and check it out and check out all the stuff we have to offer. So I'm going to draw a card. We're going to get going for this 5-minute murder that we're already 2 minutes in. So I'm going to pull it right now. And we've got good old Ed Kemper. I was trying to think if we had done him before, and I don't think that we have. Because he's still in here. So we're going to do it today. So Ed Kemper was born on December 18th, 1948. He is still alive in prison. He's an American serial killer, serial rapist, cannibal, and necrophile who murdered 10 people, including his paternal grandparents and mother. He is noted for his height of 6 feet 9 inches and for his high intellect, possessing an IQ of 145. He targeted young female hitchhikers during his killing spree. They were also like co-eds at the college that he lived around, luring them into his vehicle and driving them to secluded areas where he would murder them before taking their corpses back to his home to be decapitated, dismembered, and violated. Kemper then murdered his mother and one of her friends before turning himself into the authorities. He has been incarcerated in the California Medical Facility. Yeah, I don't know if that's the actual name of it, but that's what we got on the card. And Ed Kemper is a fascinating case. I often, when I do my talks, one of the interviews we go through is Ed Kemper's interview. And it is fascinating because he is so intelligent and he understands the inner workings of the criminal mind like few other people because he's lived it, right? And so yes, he killed his grandparents. That was his first that we know of. As a child, he was doing all kinds of weird shit out in the woods. He was cutting the head off of animals and putting them on sticks, carrying them around with him. He was the weird kid at school. People often picked on him and made fun of him because of that. It was another thing that he really struggled with was having relationships with women. And that becomes a real issue later on in his life. And one of the reasons why he starts killing women. But he goes and he lives with his grandparents. His grandmother was really, really volatile, right? He felt like she was always on him, always getting on him and, yelling at him. And so one day he decides that he's going to kill her. So he takes the rifle and he shoots her, kills her. And then he kills his grandfather, but not because he didn't like his grandfather, but because he felt like his grandfather would miss her too much. So he wanted to put him out of his misery, right? He didn't want him to feel sorrow that his wife was gone. So he took him too. Now, Kemper spends a lot of time in the insane asylum because of this. And they eventually say that he's sane. Now, during that time when he was in the insane asylum, he is reading books and he eventually breaks in. Does he break in or was he like, I can't remember if he broke in or if he was like had a job there where he had access to the files, and he had access to all of the notes and stuff that the doctors would write while they were evaluating their patients. So he got to really, really understand human psychology from those people at the asylum with him. And so he learned all of these things and used them to his advantage, eventually getting himself out. So he ends up out and back home. Now, he ends up living back with his mother. Now, his mother, again, just like his grandmother, is very overbearing, is constantly on him, thinks that he's worthless, will tell him that he should not be with any women because of all kinds of reasons. It's kind of the, how it was back then. But Ed felt that she was very, very overbearing and he couldn't stand it. So Ed begins killing co-eds because he continually tempts himself to see how far he's willing to go. So for months and months and months, he'll lure these women to his car. He'll pick them up and drive them different places, not killing them, not harassing them, but just seeing what he's willing to do. So he starts ramping it up. Sometimes he'll have a knife in the car. Sometimes he'll have a gun in the car. Sometimes the gun will be loaded. And then eventually he gets to the place where he has a loaded gun, he pulls it out, and he kills them. And there's a lot of strange stories about that. One time where he locks himself out of the car and he talks the girls into letting him back into the car. There is a time where he drops the gun and he has to retrieve it before he can kill anybody. There is a time where he's pulled over and he has two severed heads in the back seat. All kinds of stories about Ed Kemper. And during this time, he's also going to the bar where all the cops are. And he's friends with all of them. So they never suspect anything. So eventually, Kemper gets to the place where he kills his mother. And she was really the ultimate person, which is funny because we say that, but then he kills the friend too. Really, really unprovoked, right? So he kills the mother one night, and he says that he can still hear her talking, even though he's cut off her head. So that'll give you some insight on how crazy this guy is. And he said that he couldn't even get her to shut up then. It's why he cuts out her larynx and he throws it into the garbage disposal. And then he takes the head and he throws darts at the head. I don't remember if this is before or after he has sexual intercourse with the severed head of his mother. Just completely defiling her corpse because he really, really hated the way that she treated him. So he does all of that, and then he calls up her best friend and invites her over the next day to come over. And when she comes over, he kills her too. And then he leaves town, right? He leaves town for a few days and then decides when he's gone to then call the police and turn himself in. So he must have thought that maybe I'm going to run. Maybe I'm going to run and get away. But then he realized, maybe because he was caught right away for his grandparents' killing, that they were eventually going to find out, that they had to know that it was him that did it, right? Nobody else was going to kill the mom. Nobody else was going to cut off her head, do all kinds of dirty things to it, right? They were going to eventually find him. So instead he turns himself in, and the cops don't even believe it. They don't believe that he would do it because they know Ed. They know he's a gentle giant. Now, all the while, this guy has killed multiple people. I think probably at that point up to 9 or 10 that he had killed. Let's see, because it says it on the back of the card. So 10 plus. He confirmed he killed 8 people. So I believe it was like 6 co-eds, and then the mom and the best friend, and then the grandparents, right? So anyway, while all this is going on, eventually he calls back several times. They finally come and pick him up and arrest him. Now, Kemper, while he's in prison, does audiobooks for the blind. So he's reading audiobooks and children's books for the blind. If you can find any of those, check him out. He's got a great voice. And then, of course, he is one of the preeminent people in the show, Mindhunter, that they talk to, that they start out kind of the criminal profiling division because of him and his insight. So he's a just completely fascinating case. Check it out. Check out some of the interviews with Kemper. They are very, very harrowing, but really, really interesting. So thank you guys for another 5-Minute Murder. Go check out the Kickstarter. If you're in Indianapolis coming to Gen Con, come and see me. I'm at booth 336. 336 with the Indie Game Alliance. I'll be there all weekend doing my thing and talking to people and selling games and doing the whole thing. So come and see me, hang out, and talk to you soon. Nine. Killers, the card game, the best-selling true crime card game of all time, brings you its newest expansion, Mass Murderers. Just like the CIA hiring the Mafia to assassinate Fidel Castro in the 60s, in the Mass Murderers expansion, you get to take your stable of killers and kill the mass murderers before they kill everyone else. Face off between your killers and the mass murderers, only with Killers the Card Game. For 2 to 10 players, may contain sensitive material that may offend some people.